We'll start with hockey with Morley Scott, the voice of the Edmonton Elks, longtime color man for the Oilers. Welcome back to the show, Morley. If you don't mind, Game 2 tonight. What's your take on the series, and do you think the Oil can tie it up?
Absolutely. I mean, they played pretty well. I thought in game number 1, they just didn't score. I hear that's a big part of the game, right? So you got to score goals for sure. But they played pretty well. They got a ton of shots. They've always bounced back very well all season long. Connor McDavid especially has bounced back all season long. I think it's 16 of his 31 points in these playoffs have come in games after the Oilers lost. So they've only lost 2 in a row once in these playoffs so far. And really all season long, Rob, they've been a bounce back team. When they haven't played well, they've come back and played pretty well the next night. So they absolutely have a chance. I mean, either team has a chance to win anything in this series because I think it's pretty close. It's pretty tight.
Should be a heck of a Game 2 tonight in Sunrise. And as I said, you've been at the microphone for many great Oilers series. So I followed all of the Elks festivities over the weekend, the 75 years, and then obviously watched the game. I didn't have the heart to tune into your post game, Morley. I've listened to too many of those the last few years. What was it like, dude?
Yeah, it was so good, and then it wasn't, right? I mean, they played pretty well, I thought, for 3 quarters. They had a 21-8 lead. I think there was like 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They were up 21-8, and I was just going back, Rod. Here's what the Elks' last 5 possessions were. Fumble, missed field goal, fumble, interception, then the Hail Mary to the end zone. Saskatchewan, after all those, touchdown, touchdown, punt, touchdown, fumble. So it happened in a hurry. I mean, the Elks, they gave the ball away, and it cost them, plain and simple. They got to figure out a way to finish. They got to figure out a way to hang on to the ball. They got to figure out a way to play the 60-minute game, which is, it's something that's plagued them, I think, the last couple of years as well. So they got to figure it out somehow.
Yeah, well, I got to think. And if I say you know what I mean? You had him. What did Jones say after?
Too many mistakes. He wasn't happy with special teams. They didn't flip the field very well. They gave up a lot of big runs, didn't generate much as far as returns go. They gave up a lot of big return yards. So that was part of it. And just the mistakes. I mean, even through it, like McLeod Bethel-Thompson, for the numbers he put up, he can play a lot better, I think. He had some missed passes. He had an interception. He had a couple of fumbles. He missed a couple of guys, and I think that's maybe just building some chemistry with some of these guys on the team. But, despite that, he put up 336 yards, completed 75% of his passes, had a couple of touchdown passes as well to Hergy Mayala. So I think the foundation is there, and it's just if we hadn't seen what we've seen the last 3 years in Edmonton, I don't think people would be as upset and concerned as they were about Saturday night. But because of the history, everyone's going, here we go again.
Yeah, and you know what? It's poignant that you pointed that out because the history is not McLeod Bethel-Thompson's fault, not his fault. But what I do think is him and Boris Beattie were signed as veteran guys to deliver in pressure situations, and they didn't on Saturday.
Well,
and that to me is very disappointing.
You mentioned those two guys, like the three biggest signings they had. McLeod Bethel-Thompson had 2 fumbles and an interception. Boris Beattie missed a field goal, and Javon Leake fumbled the football as well. So that's their 3 biggest guys they signed in the offseason, and they're not going to do that again. I mean, they've got a pretty good record. They got a pretty good resume. I don't think they'll be in that situation again. So you got to believe that they're going to be a better team moving forward. And I mean, again, we talked about the last 3 years. I mean, most of these guys haven't been here, for more than a year or 2. So we'll see, how it moves on from here. But I still think they got a pretty good foundation.
I'm dying to talk hockey with you, but hey, the CFL fans love this show. They love you. They love talking CFL. And Sammy's watching from Daytona Beach. Sammy. He says,
hey,
Sammy. He says Sass played very well. Trevor Harris had all day to throw the ball, and he just threw in Javon Leake as well, for sure. Yeah, he was the special teams player of the year, right? So teachable moments, I guess. I guess that's the point is, because Dunnigan on the television broadcast had Edmonton picked to win the Grey Cup. I'm like, what is he smoking, dude? So there's people that believe in this team.
Matt Dunnigan was drenched in green and gold all weekend with the celebration. So he was.
He got caught up in it.
Yeah, he got caught up in it. Maybe. But, you know what? I mean, I think they're going to be a much better team than they've been in the last couple of years. It's got to play out still, right? And I think everyone has to be patient. Everyone with the Elks, I think it's clearly, show me, right? They're not going to be happy until they see it. And I think the fan base is like that now. And I think, probably the media, as they make predictions, is going to be like that now too. The fact that, I think they're better, but they're still not winning.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and says, I can't believe the lack of anyone anywhere mentioning the Stampeders franchise accomplishment last Friday. Well, don't blame us that nobody's talking about it. But you know what? He's talking about 700 wins for the Stamps, the first team in the CFL to ever do that, which is a little surprising to me that they're the first franchise. Looks like Terry Jones
Elks
just walked by, but I know that wouldn't be the case.
The Elks have 699.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, and here's the thing. To prove what a CFL guy I'm in, I was listening to the Stamps game, and I'm like, where's Greg Pedersen? Who is this guy with Mark? And it was Stu Laird, and he did a pretty good job, but it wasn't Greg Pedersen. Yeah. So you got Montreal in there this week in Cody Fajardo, and Morley, death, taxes, and Fajardo winning. You know that. Did they hear that up in Edmonton? Those are three things you can count on.
You know what? Cody Fajardo is he's a better quarterback than everybody gives him credit for. I mean, like if you were to ask 100 people who watch the CFL who has the highest completion rate in CFL history, you think they'd tell you it's Cody Fajardo? But he does, right?
I don't even know that. I'm his biggest fan.
that was one of the stats. That was late last year. I don't know if it's changed or not, but yeah, he's a good quarterback. He can throw, he can run, he can lead. I really like Cody Fajardo. He's kind of got I don't know. He had some bad years, had some down years in Sask, I think, after he became a starter. But he's a good quarterback. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He's a tough guy to stop because, like I say, he's got pretty good wheels and he's got a great arm and he's accurate.
Okay, one more because I've always loved chatting Oilers with you, and you'll be watching Game 2 tonight. What do you think they have to do to win it?
Score goals. I don't know. How much more can they do, right? They got to shore up a little bit better defensively, but I still maintain they played a pretty good game in Game 1. I know 3-0, you got to score goals, obviously, but is Bobrovsky going to be that good throughout every game in the series? But it's a huge game tonight. The stat that the NHL put out, I mean, the teams that go up 2-0 in the Stanley Cup final have won it 91% of the time. So that means if you don't win tonight, you're coming home, and it's an uphill battle for the rest of the series. So it's they got to play better, but they also know Florida's going to play better too. Because let's be honest, Florida won 3-0, but they didn't play that well, right? They got better in the third period. They shut down the shots a little bit and started to play better defensively. But I think both teams are going to improve, and it's going to make for a pretty entertaining game tonight.
Trust me, I get the Oilers' perspective. I'm married to one of their biggest fans, probably the biggest fan I know. But you talk about scoring goals? I just called up the stats, the points in the playoffs. McDavid 1, Draisaitl 2, Bouchard 3, Nuge 4, Hyman. They have the offense. It's all there.
That's the whole thing.
Right?
That's the whole thing. They keep saying we're getting chances, we're going to score, and they're getting chances. And I mean, this team has scored all season long, so I don't think there's any reason to think that it's going to go away right now. 5-on-5, they're struggling. I think it's only one 5-on-5 goal in the last 3 games, so they have to figure out 5-on-5. But if Florida is going to take penalties, because that's the way they play, right? And if the Oilers get the opportunity on the power play, they burn everybody. So if they take too many penalties, it's going to put Florida in a hole tonight.
All right, my dude. Always a pleasure. Good luck this week, and I hope to see you in a press box this summer.
Look forward to it, Rod. Take care. Thanks for having me.
Morley Scott of 630 CHED, the voice of the Elks.